We're getting into this because Colorado has the highest rate of teenage vaping in the nation. We're really concerned about that.
Colorado leads the nation in youth vaping. We have the highest high school vaping rate in the country.
With vaping, it really is something that we're seeing across the board. It's not necessarily just troubled kids or kids that are doing drugs. It's something that is across the board.
The idea of a smoking culture is permeated in Colorado.
It's an epidemic that has taken public school officials, teachers, and parents by surprise. It's putting young people into the hospital and, in some cases, the grave. Colorado, a state that embraces such a healthy lifestyle, has a serious teen vaping problem. Over the next 30 minutes, we investigate this issue and clear the air on why this trend has become so attractive for kids. If you look to Colorado skies, you'll often find cirrus, cumulus, nimbus, stratus, and vape.
Vaping is dangerous, period. Inhalation of anything except good old Colorado air is something we recommend against.
Exactly what's in vape smoke is cloudy as public health officials across the country and in Colorado try to clear the air about the dangers of vaping. The CDC has been tracking outbreaks of a mysterious lung disease that's landing people in emergency rooms.
Shortness of breath, low blood oxygen, a severe cough, even coughing up blood. They can have GI symptoms like nausea and vomiting.
Nationally, as of early December, the CDC reports more than 2,000 lung injuries and 48 deaths. In Colorado, 12 outbreak cases have been reported. 10 of those people have been hospitalized.
In terms of what's causing it, it is mostly unknowns right now. What we do know is that vaping is the common denominator.
There's no scientific consensus on what's causing the illnesses, but the Center for Disease Control believes THC and black market vape juice play major roles in the outbreaks.
We do have cases in Colorado who reported vaping nicotine only and have suffered this severe lung illness. So right now there is no clear path to safety. The way to protect yourself is to not vape.
Colorado has the highest teen rate of vaping in the country, with 27% of them saying they vape. That's 1 out of 4 teens.
That's about twice the national average.
Allison Reedmore works for the state health department and is responsible for fighting the message put out by vaping companies.
It was, the tobacco industry playbook all over again. It was making them look sexy, making them look cool, associating them with young people, associating them with freedom.
I get the sense that the state and local school districts were completely unprepared to deal with this epidemic.
Yeah, I think that people were unprepared to deal with this epidemic. There was a period of time, these products kind of came onto the market in like 2012, 2013, and there was a long period of time in which they didn't become especially popular.
As long as it's not going to be hurting someone else, then I think it's our choice.
The manager of Denver Vapor says recent media reports about death and illness have affected business. She believes vaping is still safer than smoking.
People can choose to go to the dispensary and get some marijuana, or go to the liquor store and get some alcohol. So why is this completely different from that? It's still a product that's meant for adults that should be regulated, and it should be still allowed because it's a free country. It's our choice.
We had this phenomenal success of getting youth smoking to the lowest rate that it's been measured, at least in the state of Colorado, and then you have this new product that comes back in, an industry that tells kids that this product is safe.
Congress and several other states, including Colorado, are investigating one of the largest vaping companies named Juul. The company's device looks like a harmless USB drive, now in the backpacks, pockets, and mouths of thousands of Colorado teens like Ryan Bullard, who thought it was safer than cigarettes.
I first started vaping in 8th grade. One of my friends was talking about a Juul, and they were talking about how it's cool and it has nicotine, but it's not as addicting as cigarettes. But I just was like, okay, I'll try it.
A congressional memo says Juul paid schools $10,000, $89,000, even $134,000 to gain access to kids. The memo calls it a sophisticated program that targeted teenagers and children as young as 8 years old to become the nation's largest seller of e-cigarettes. In one instance, Juul reps told kids their product was totally safe.
We've opened up an investigation focused on deceptive and unfair marketing.
The Colorado Attorney General is investigating Juul's activity, which includes influencer marketing.
I think it's fair to say that public health authorities were not totally ready for this, and it has snuck up on us.
A congressional memo says the company aimed to get their product into the hands of over 12,500 influencers to reach over 1.5 million people.
And the concern we have is there's been marketing directed to kids, even though they're not allowed to use the product, getting them hooked and hurting them.
And then you're gonna inhale through your nose.
Online, teens are seen Juuling with popular hashtags on Instagram dedicated to Juul tricks.
We need the word to get out there. This is dangerous. This is not a form of play. This is something where you could be seriously hurting your health.
But why Colorado? Why is teen vaping so high here?
Yeah, that's a great question, and the reality is we don't know for certain.
I don't know why we have a high rate of vaping.
The answer is a mystery, just like what exactly is in those vape clouds.
In an outbreak like this, it can really be very unsettling. We see a syndrome developing, and we're not sure what we're dealing with.
So what does vaping company Juul have to say about all of this? In a statement, they say, "We never designed our marketing to appeal to youth and do not want any non-nicotine users to try our products."
For about 3 months, I was like nonstop like vaping. Like I would go to the bathroom and use it, or if I was at home, I'd use it, and it was not good.
Vaping has become a huge nuisance in Colorado schools. We take a look at what teachers are up against when clearing the air continues. Ask any middle school or high school teacher and they will tell you vaping has become this huge nuisance. Kids sneaking off to the bathroom to get a hit, puffing behind the teacher's back during class. So what are educators doing to clear the air on campus? The vaping numbers show they have a lot of work to do. If there's a secret back-to-school supply list for teens that they don't want parents to see,
I feel like it's just been a big craze for everybody.
the Juul vaping device would perhaps be at the top.
Everyone thought it was an okay alternative to smoking.
I honestly think it's like the smoke. Like, people love blowing out the smoke.
The portability of them, the flavors, and the buzz and the smoke.
Isaiah, Ryan, and Tanner, high school kids in Littleton, are among thousands of Colorado teens who found the allure of vaping cool until they got hooked.
I would do anything to, get a hit in or whatever.
They quit amid news reports of illnesses, death, and startling numbers that show 1 out of 4 teens in Colorado vape, the highest rate nationally.
For about 3 months, I was like nonstop like vaping. Like I would go to the bathroom and use it, or if I was at home, I'd use it, and it was not good.
I was never told not to vape. I was told not to smoke.
What vape that I could compare this to?
And they see it not only at school, but inches from their face.
I really like it.
Vaping videos are constantly before their eyes through teen favorite apps like Instagram and Snapchat.
Because of like influencers, taking hits of vapes and saying, oh, this is so good, it's better than cigarettes, you should try it.
Not only has Juul permeated the online teen universe, we've learned the company has attempted to actually get into Colorado schools. Last year, the Department of Health alerted schools across the state, saying Juul has contacted some Colorado schools seeking their participation in a prevention program designed by the e-cigarette manufacturer.
Colorado has traditionally been a test market for the tobacco industry. So the tobacco industry has a history of taking new products and marketing them in Colorado before they market them in the rest of the region and in the country.
If vape companies do see Colorado as a test market, numbers show kids are acing that test. Colorado schools reported 1,300 tobacco violations to the state 3 years ago. Last year, reported violations doubled. Regionally, vaping rates among high schoolers are high all over the map, according to the state's latest survey. Southwest Colorado around Gunnison, Ouray, and Montrose report the highest, with nearly 40% of teens who say they vaped in the past 30 days. Pueblo County and Boulder are right behind that. The Denver metro area shows the lowest teen vaping rates in Colorado, but it's still high at 17%. Compare that to adults nationally who do vape at less than 3%.
I feel like it's really blown up and is pretty out of control with teens right now. This one here looks like a Zippo lighter.
That rise in vaping use prompted Littleton Public Schools to have substance abuse specialist Katrina Vigil spend most of her time trying to get kids to quit.
It really is something that we're seeing across the board.
Vaping incidents jumped from 24 in the whole year of 2015 to more than 200 so far this year.
It's not necessarily just troubled kids or kids that are doing drugs. It's something that is across the board, from kids who are involved in sports, kids who are doing well academically, as well as kids that are struggling. But I don't think it has any limitations to a certain demographic of student.
She runs a pilot program called Second Chance. Instead of immediate suspension for vaping, kids are diverted to an online class that tells them vaping nicotine can slow down their brain development and cause lung disease.
Because ultimately, suspending a student from school for vaping, they're going to be at home and continuing to vape.
When did you start to realize, oh my gosh, we are dealing with something here that is maybe a little bit out of our control?
I think it was probably the first time I had a fourth grader who brought one to school.
The man responsible for discipline district-wide in Littleton is Nate Thompson.
Why Colorado?
Yeah. I absolutely think it's connected to the legalization of marijuana.
During his 12 years in the district, Colorado legalized marijuana while vape companies pumped $100 million into marketing across the country.
Colorado was a perfect target for a vaping device and a vaping company like Juul, because if you think about it, we're already a state who's now got an entire network set up around how do you go get smoking devices, and the idea of a smoking culture is permeated in Colorado.
Perhaps the trend is driven by this statistic. While nearly 90% of kids got the message smoking is bad, half of them believe vaping is harmless.
Everyone thought it was an okay alternative to smoking. They thought it was okay to do. The smoke had no harm.
The number of deadly lung illness cases.
But now that harm is in the news, and Vigil worries kids are trading vaping for smoking.
I think the hard part with that is, rather than vaping, there are students that I've talked to that are going back to tobacco and going back to cigarettes because they view that as a safer alternative to vaping, which is really ironic considering that vaping was intended to do that for cigarettes.
It's actually harder for teens to quit nicotine than adults because their brains are still developing. Their brains are actually forming around that nicotine addiction. But there is help just for teens out there. Check out the website mylifemyquit.com. Teens say it's easy to get their hands on vaping products.
We actually prioritize the purchase of vape products because we know they are so popular among our youth.
We continue to clear the air with a look at how local governments are trying to stop the epidemic. In Denver, undercover inspectors have been targeting lazy clerks who don't verify age. When we come back, we see if they're getting the message. In most cities, you've got to be 18 years old to buy vape products, but that's actually starting to change. There's a movement to raise the age to 21. The city of Denver actually just did that in September. The idea is to make it harder for teens and their adult friends to get their hands on that stuff. But for the law to work, clerks have to get the message too. It's clear or hazy depending how you look at it. age restriction laws are supposed to stop teens from vaping.
Huge, yeah. Every school has it in Colorado.
But with Colorado having the highest teen vaping rate in the country, you gotta wonder how kids are getting their hands on vape devices.
In freshman year, I was wanting to try it because, it looked cool. I wanted to do it. So I tried it and I got addicted. Like, I was using it a lot more because I'd have my friends let me hit it. And then I got addicted and I bought my own.
Tanner, a teen in Littleton, tells us getting devices like Juul's is no problem.
I had a plug.
You had a plug. What does that mean? Like someone who could get it for you?
Yeah.
Which is why nearly 30 cities and towns in Colorado have either raised the age to buy vape and tobacco products to age 21 or now require a special tobacco retailer license. About half of these communities made that change over the last 2 years as teens embraced the vape. And next year, Colorado could join 18 other states in raising the age to 21.
This is important because we know that youth, just based on the data, are accessing these products mainly through retailers. And unfortunately, retailers can either contribute to that access or, be the retailer that doesn't sell tobacco to someone under now 21.
I move that Council Bill 921.
This past September, Denver City Council raised the tobacco age to 21.
We see it as a huge issue. We know that youth have access to these products. We also know that they don't perceive them necessarily as harmful.
Natalie Salcido is responsible for enforcing Denver's tobacco laws. She checks up on nearly 600 convenience stores and shops with undercover teens.
So yes, I believe they are aware of us. It's interesting because we are undercover and we're a mighty team of 3.
Her team has ramped up enforcement over the last 2 years with the goal of testing every shop at least 3 times a year. Their focus has shifted from cigarettes.
We actually prioritize the purchase of vape products because we know they are so popular among our youth.
Her team has busted about 130 shops so far this year for failing to verify age. A first-time violation means a $250 fine. About 40 of them were busted more than once, prompting a $500 fine and a 30-day suspension order of tobacco sales.
Okay, we're rolling right now.
We did our own undercover test with 2 teens hitting a handful of shops in the Denver area.
Hi, can I get a pack of mint Juul pops?
And it seems clerks are getting the message. Our test of 5 shops shows all of the clerks did what they were supposed to do.
Can I have a pack of mint Juul pods?
This program has really informed policy. It's really been it was the basis of increasing the sale age from 18 to 21. It's the basis of why we do need a license because, of course, we do want to know every retailer that is selling tobacco in the city and county of Denver.
Next year, Denver retailers will have to apply for a license to sell tobacco, and new shops won't be able to sell within 1,000 feet of any school. But what about the online sellers? The Colorado Department of Health says about 20% of teens say they get their vape products online.
Juuls, I would say, even now are getting a little bit outdated. They're not the new cool product. Kind of like the comparison I would use is we have new iPhones coming out all the time. Now there's new products coming out. So
Katrina V. Hill, a substance abuse specialist in Littleton, showed us the vape devices confiscated from students. Some may have been purchased on the internet.
They really feel like it's pretty easy to get a hold of.
Popular vape selling websites use age verification software, but there's no face-to-face scrutiny by a clerk to make sure who's clicking the mouse is actually 18. Whether online or in real life, teens will find a way, even if it means driving a few miles down the road in a city where laws are more lax.
44% of them say they just bought their product themselves. They either bought it online or in a brick and mortar location, and actually more were likely to buy in a brick and mortar location than online. That tells us that there's a problem with retailers selling tobacco products to young people in our state.
A couple of Colorado lawmakers are talking about raising the age to 21 statewide. If that happens, Colorado would join states like Texas and Utah. You've heard so much from teens who got hooked on vaping, an addiction that's landed some of them in the hospital and even dead. From our sister station in Dallas, Texas, Matt Howerton brings us the story of a teen's secret that nearly cost him his life.
he does get anxiety pretty easily.
From the coughing to the ominous sounds of a ventilator, these are the gripping images.
It just progressively got worse extremely fast.
17-year-old Tristan Zofeld wants you to see the lowest point so far in his young life, and doctors say he got here because of vaping.
I woke up just throwing up everywhere, and my heart was just pounding out of my chest, going 100 miles an hour.
In late July, Zofeld showed up to Cook Children's in Fort Worth in bad shape. His lungs were failing, so doctors quickly put him into a medically induced coma and on a breathing machine.
Did you ever expect to see your son look like this?
No, never.
His father, Matt,
there is no test.
Didn't understand what was happening. Tests for infections, diseases, even pneumonia came back negative, but a family member soon revealed something no one ever knew about the teen. He'd been vaping since 8th grade.
That it all fit with similar cases.
Zofeld was in a coma and on that breathing machine for 10 days.
At the time.
And when he came to,
and extremely terrified of, for my life, I guess.
He lost over 25 pounds and needed to learn to walk again after being in a hospital bed for so long. After an 18-day stay, his most difficult chapter is over, and his next,
like I said, as soon as I woke up from that coma, I decided I knew what I wanted to do.
Starts with sharing a simple message and what you see right now.
This is really what could happen. And it's a big deal. It's not something to look over.
Thanks for watching Clearing the Air. The best advice we found for parents is to start doing just that. Clear the air with your kids about the dangers of vaping. And remember, there's help out there. Check out mylifemyquit.com.